Today, I decided that I desperately need to level grind for the Elite Four. My team was pretty weak and stood no chance at all. Chantal dominated my Pokemon easily, as well as Grimsley. This was beginning to become a problem. After multiple losses against the Elite Four and battling the trainers in the stadiums, I knew there was only one option left. Audino. Audino gives a lot of experience points and EVs when you beat them, so it's only a natural choice. I sent a lucky egg on my Pokemon and went searching. Luckily, there was some grass shaking the moment I went near it, and hey, what do you know? Audino! I forgot to switch my Emboar out at the beginning. No matter, at least with those EXP share, I can get some EXP. I hit it with a flamethrower and continued looking for shaking grass. Usually it's within 200 steps. Luckily about 20 steps and I encountered another Audino. At first, I thought it might have been shiny since the sprite showed up a bit darker, but disregarded that when I saw it was still pink. Might have just been my lighting. I decided to use my Galvantula to knock it out with an Electro Ball. That was easy, and she finally grew a level. Well, back to searching. Something ended up happening. I ran into another Audino. This one was much different, though. I looked at its gender and level. Male, level 14. No different from the last one. It just grew a level. The thing that made this Audino more noticeable were burn marks caused by electricity being visible on its body. Not only that, but when it appeared, its cry was much longer and dragged on, and had a bit of a cry added to it. I decided the easiest way to get this creepy thing out of my sight was to attack it again, so I used Bug Bite this time, and luckily enough, it gained a critical hit and knocked it right out. I was done with this. I didn't want to get a visit from that disturbing thing again. I went to level grind against Basculins. Sadly, they weren't showing up for some reason, so forgetting the Audino incident, I went back into the grass. I saw a grass shaking spot and immediately went for it, expecting to beat up a normal Audino. I was greeted by the same one, level 15 in this situation, except this time it was clear what my Bug Bite did. It tore out one of the Audino's eyes and blood was sinking down from its socket. About to hit the run buttons as soon as it popped up, there was a dialogue before the option showed up. It was Audino. Why did you leave me? You were having fun, weren't you? This is what you wanted, right? Yes or no? Instantly, I selected no. You're lying to me, aren't you? Again, I selected no. Liar! Go on with it. The battle began. Right at that moment, I hit run. Why? I couldn't get away, yet for some reason, it was my turn again. The only way to get out of this was to attack Audino. I switched over to my Caracosta and used Bite. The wild Audino fainted. That was over. Now, I can get on and ignore the grass shaking spots. Suddenly, every step I took, the grass shook right in front of the direction I was moving to. Audino was cornering me. I was greeted this time by the Audino, growing in level once again, symptoms growing worse on it as part of its left ear was bitten off. That was my Caracosta's doing. Are you having fun yet? I selected no again. How could watching this Pokemon suffer like this be fun? I thought Audino was one of the cutest things in the world. You're lying to me again. Everyone does this. Go on. Have fun. The battle began, but what did it mean by everyone does this? Then it hit me. Everyone uses Audino for level grinding and EV training. They abuse how much it gives. Suddenly, Audino said something. You know it, right? This is how everyone plays with me. I couldn't help but feel sad, but I knew I had to knock it out again. I switched my Pokemon to a Golett and began attacking. Using strength, I easily overpowered the Audino. Sadly, I was getting used to this, even though I didn't want to. I ran into Audino again. This time, its right arm was torn off because of strength. Playing it smart, I decided the good way that would probably end this. I flew out of the grass and quickly went to the Pokemon Center. I traded over my Haxorus and went to put that Audino out of its misery. Surely enough, Audino popped out again, and it had a reaction to my Haxorus. Its sprite was crying. It looked almost like it was staring directly at me in disappointment. You want the fun to end? Really? But that's not fair. Why? Why do you want this to end? We're having fun. Do you want this to end? I selected yes. Audino then used Endure. That wouldn't work since my Haxorus had Mold Breaker. I swiftly ended it with a Dragon Claw. Finally, things can go back to normal. I walked, and once again, Audino showed up. Hasn't it had enough already? The Audino popped up, with the scratches on its chest, lines of blood dripping down from them, saying another set of dialogue once again. I'm never going to leave. Hurt me more. I turned the game off. I couldn't handle it. I decided to leave it for a few hours and then return. The 3D model of Zekrom had been replaced with that of the Audino. Upon pressing start, I was greeted by the Audino's gargled cry. There was no continue. There was only a new game. Afraid to press start, I turned my game off and on again, until everything was back to normal. At least, until a new wild Audino appeared.